A quick heads up. This Lit Snippets episode contains some spoilers, so please listen at your own risk. Welcome back for another deep dive. This one comes from one of you, All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. And we're going deep on this crime thriller, so buckle up.
Well, you know that feeling when you know something just isn't right.
Yeah, like when you walk into a room and the energy is off.
That's Montclair for you,
Yeah.
the setting of this book.
This small town where everyone's got secrets, huh?
Exactly.
So we've got Patch at the center of it all.
A protagonist who has been through a lot. I mean, imagine losing an eye and being kidnapped as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. That would mess anyone up.
And now he's trying to find Grace, the girl who's kidnapped with him.
So it's more than just finding her, isn't it?
It's about Patch finding himself, too. You know, the abduction took his childhood. He's left with physical and emotional scars.
Like he's trying to figure out who he is now, but he also still holds on to the person he was before.
Exactly. Like his pirate persona, he uses it like a shield.
A way to protect himself from the world.
Right. And it kind of fuels his recklessness, too. You know, constantly testing his limits.
Pushing the boundaries. So we have to talk about the art in the book.
The paintings.
They're so vivid, and they're not just a hobby,
It's
right?
definitely not. Painting is how Patch deals with what happened to him. Like he's trying to gain some control, some power back over the darkness that's kind of eating him up.
Almost like he's painting his way back to the boy he used to be.
You know, remember how he talks about his old bedroom, the record player, the pirate prop?
Oh yeah, and those firecrackers, it felt so real.
Those details matter. They're anchors to his past. A past that seems so far away to him now.
Like he's searching for those pieces of himself that he lost.
It's really heartbreaking, but so human at the same time.
So we see this intensity in Patch. He needs to prove he's strong, like when his friend Saint brings up Black Bart Roberts, the pirate.
Who is also a captive.
Yeah, before becoming a legend.
Right.
And Patch just grabs onto that story.
Like it's a lifeline. He has to believe he can overcome this, that he can find meaning in all this pain.
We take something from every knock, right? That's what he says to Saint.
Exactly. Almost like a mantra, something to keep going.
But there's a dark side to that strength, too. Like when he fights those bullies, Chuck and his brothers.
It almost feels like he's looking for the fight.
It's really complex, right? He's not just a victim.
He's capable of anger, even violence. Makes you wonder how far he'd go to protect himself and find Grace.
And his relationships are complicated, too. Like with Saint, his friend, who represents that link to his past.
But he pushes her away at the same time. It's fascinating.
Right. She's the normalcy he wants, but he resents her, too.
Yeah, because she had a normal childhood. Unlike him, it's like a push and pull between them.
And then you have Misty, this childhood crush.
He puts her on a pedestal.
Sees her as innocence and happiness, like a dream he can't quite grasp.
Like he yearns for that happy ending.
Yeah.
But deep down, he doesn't think he deserves it.
Like it's not even possible for him. So we have Patch struggling with his past, searching for answers.
And then we have Saint trying to solve the mystery of the missing girls.
Which gives us another angle on what's going on.
She sees the pain Patch is hiding, the danger he's in. And that's crucial to the story.
Their journeys are so intertwined, each shedding light on the other.
It's not just about cracking a case, it's about the impact it has on everyone involved. You know, that ripple effect of loss and trauma. It really makes you think about how we face those dark parts of life and how we find the strength to keep moving forward.
Yeah. And speaking of those missing girls, we've got to talk about Grace.
Yeah, she's more than just a missing person to Patch. She's a symbol of everything he's lost.
Like that innocence he mentioned and a sense of belonging, even faith maybe. But she was a real person, someone he went through that awful experience with.
And their connection during that time is so strong. The way he paints her, imagines her in these bright colors, even though they're trapped in darkness.
It's like he's trying to paint her back to life, you know? And she's trying to do the same for him.
Absolutely. Like when she recites those Bible verses to him, remember when the man comes to their cell?
It's more than comfort. She's giving him strength, belief in something bigger than their situation.
And that's where the purple honey comes in. It seems almost too good to be true, right?
Something out of a fairy tale. But it represents resilience, doesn't it?
A reminder that even in the bleakest places, there can be beauty and sweetness.
A promise of something better. A light in the darkness.
It becomes like a beacon for Patch in his search for Grace.
What I find fascinating is that purple honey actually exists.
Yeah, it's this rare type of honey from North Carolina.
So Whitaker grounds that magical element in reality.
Like he's telling us that even the most unbelievable dreams can have a basis in truth, that hope can be a real thing.
I love that. So the search for this honey becomes a metaphor for Patch's entire journey.
The possibility of healing, of becoming whole after experiencing so much darkness.
But the book doesn't shy away from the hard parts of healing, does it?
No, it shows how trauma leaves its mark, how the past can stick with you.
And that's what makes it so real. There's no quick fix. It's a constant struggle between light and dark. And for Patch, art is how he channels that pain, turns it into something meaningful.
You see it in how his art changes over time. He starts with Grace, painting her over and over, but then he starts painting other missing girls, other victims.
It's like he's not just focused on his grief anymore, he's expanding outward.
He's developing empathy. He sees he's not alone in his suffering.
And he connects with others who have been through something similar all through his art.
Like that scene with Carol Birch, remember? The mother of one of the missing girls.
She embraces Patch after seeing her daughter's portrait. It's a beautiful scene.
It shows how art can build those bridges between people, offering comfort and connection when words can't.
And it reinforces that message of hope. Even in the face of loss and despair, we can find beauty, create meaning, and connect with others who understand our pain.
What's powerful is that his art doesn't just help others, it helps him heal too.
By confronting his darkness, he finds a way to turn it into something positive.
Exactly. He's not just a victim. He's a survivor, an artist, a force for good. And it brings us to this overarching theme of resilience.
Patch's journey, even with the pain and loss, shows the strength of the human spirit, our ability to heal, to grow, to find meaning, even when things seem dark.
Well said.
This has been such an interesting dive into the story, the symbolism, how Whitaker weaves everything together. But there's this big question hanging in the air. What about Grace? Is she real? Or is she a figment of Patch's imagination, a way to cope with his trauma?
That's the question, isn't it? Whitaker keeps us guessing.
Blurring the lines between reality and fantasy.
Memory and imagination.
He wants us to question what we see, to think about how truth can be subjective, how it's shaped by our experiences, our traumas, our hopes.
And that ambiguity makes the novel so gripping. It forces us to admit that some mysteries might never be solved.
So we're left wondering, is Grace real? And maybe the answer depends on what we choose to believe.
Do we embrace hope, redemption, the chance to find beauty, even in the darkest moments?
That's a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the impact of the novel. It stays with you,
Exactly. And then you have the birds, those images of freedom.
rising above the challenges.
But in all the colors of the dark, they also represent fragility and vulnerability. Think of that scene with Saint photographing the kingfisher.
At the reservoir. Such a beautiful scene, but with this underlying sadness, almost a hint of loss to come.
Yes, like a reminder of how easily hope can be broken. It brings us back to the idea that darkness can feel inescapable,
That even in beauty, there's always a shadow close by.
which makes the ending so powerful.
That image of Charlotte
Patch's daughter.
holding that jar of purple honey, like a final burst of hope.
A testament to the power of love.
It leaves you with a sense of optimism, that even after darkness, we can find sweetness and create a brighter future. So for you listening, what can you take from All the Colors of the Dark?
I think Whitaker wants us to confront our own darkness, to see how trauma shapes us, and to find our own way to heal.
He doesn't give us easy answers, but maybe that's the point. He leaves us with questions to think about.
And maybe, by wrestling with those questions, we can all find our own purple honey, our own source of hope and beauty.
This has been an amazing deep dive into All the Colors of the Dark. Thank you for being here with us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep searching for your purple honey.